Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Oh my gosh. Bear with me. I'm trying to switch up the screen here. Okay. All right, so this confuses many. This confuses many. We're going to get into that. Appreciate those of you who come in, positive vibes. If you're watching live or if you're just watching on a later date, thank you for watching. Thank you for being. If you are a viewer, a follower, or a subscriber from a sincere and benevolent place, then I appreciate you. Okay. If you're somebody that's not here just to steal or to plot and scheme and all of those things, I appreciate you. Okay. So what I'm about to say, okay, so this confuses a lot of people. I was going to actually create a short, okay? I might still create a short, for TikTok and Lemonade and the Clapper and fan base, okay? Um, so here's the phrase. I think I said it the other day. You're not avoiding life's problems, you're avoiding people who are hell-bent on creating problems for you. You're not avoiding life's problems. The targeted individuals are not avoiding life's problems. They are avoiding people who are hell-bent on creating them for them. They're not avoiding life's problems. They're avoiding people who are hell-bent on creating them for them. This confuses a lot of people, and I want to explain. Because, listen, it's true. There are people who avoid life's problems. Many of us, maybe we went through phases of those things in our younger phases, because that's a natural process until you start to, mature, evolve, deal with whatever it is, going on within yourself, however you want to look at it, right? That is a thing. And you can see how this can be confusing. And I see how this works in the favor of those that are toxic. Because, see, oftentimes toxic people are very obsessive. So let me explain how this works for them. For all intents and purposes, they are like, they're opportunist, very materialistic, and sometimes that drives them to be seemingly stable. Now, let's follow where I'm going with this, okay? It appears that they are people who face life's problems because there's a level of seemingly diligence in an area or another, because it's usually you can't see all the areas of their lives. You would be shocked, okay? So in an area, they may have, if they're materialistic, so this means they could have stuck with the career for 30 years, or if not a career for 30 years, it's just something that they, they're willing to rob Peter. They're willing to do any and everything for it. Questionable shit that would make some of us vomit. Okay? So, but for all intensive purposes, it looks like they're a together, handle the biz type of mofo. Because you don't know, I don't know. All we're just looking on the surface that this person seemed to have a car, they seem to have a house, they seem to have money to spend, they seem to have, a position. They call themselves supervisor, they call themselves manager, they call themselves so when you're looking at it from that perspective, you go, oh, okay. So surely they're not avoiding life's problems because they have a, they have a house, they have a car, they have a 401k, they have, you know, they're not avoiding life's problems. I'm going to provoke the world to really stretch. Just stretch. Because again, I know it's confusing because yes, there are people who are avoidant. There are people who don't want to deal. So they'll move all around the country. They will hop jobs. They will hop relationships. I call it the relationship conveyor belt. Ping-ponging all over the world. Soon as something get dicey, soon as there's a little bit of uncomfortableness, soon as there's a disagreement, as soon as, the slightest thing, it's ping-ponging to whoever's going to be the more kisser-assery. You know what I mean? So in fairness, yes, but that is not what the targeted individuals. And I use the term targeted individual on purpose because the targeted individuals, it's a real thing. It's not somebody's imagination. Number one, the targeted individuals have, like everyone else, have had to go through all of their normal natural phases. That's why I said there could have been seasons of your life where that was the case due to trauma, due to all sorts of things. The targeted individual have a triple, almost quadruple effect on them because they have to walk through the natural stuff that any and everyone else does on this earth, on top of them being these targeted individuals long before they get their sea legs. Okay? So as they try to feel their way through a lot of things, making lemonade out of lemons, taking the L's, doing, what the best they can do from where they're at, considering all things. But on the surface, for them, sorry about that, on the surface, for them, to other people, it looks like, it looks like they're flighting. It looks like they're avoiding life's problems. We talked about this earlier. So I'm going to say this phrase again. Targeted individuals are not avoiding life's problems. They begin to avoid people who they have finally accepted and realized, no matter how slick, are hell-bent on creating problems for them. The reality of abuse is it's not going to always be even for the target individual. This is what makes it difficult. This is what makes it insidious. This is what has them on that hamster wheel for so very long. Because again, these are covert tactics. And these are things that are, behind their back. It's insidious because again, they call it, what they say? Smile in your face all the while they want to take your place, backstabber. That's kind of the vibe of what they've lived. That's been their life. And not just some high school shit, not just some small time little petty. That's been their life from the people that was supposed to nurture, protect, support. People that were leaders, people that were authority figures, people that were older and should have been better than them. It was from all of these kinds of energies. It was from their own blood. It was from their own caretakers, you name it. It was from clergy. It was from spiritualists with a huge ego. It was all of these things. Okay? That targeted them, but behind their back, because again, that's the nature of this type of an abuse. We're gonna smile at you. We're not gonna show our hand. We're going to act like we're here to help you. We're going to act like we care. We're gonna act like we're concerned. We're gonna act like that's why it's insidious. It's one thing to be betrayed and it's an obvious, in your face, I'm not even trying to pretend or cover it. But to smile at you and to, offer you things and, hey, I can help you and you can come here and you can do that and I'll, you can just put it on your tab and, all of those things is people who wanted to torture the collective, hell-bent on making problems. So once again, I'm going to say this phrase until it's ringing in people's ears. The targeted individual is not avoiding life's problems. The targeted individual is not avoiding life's problems. The targeted individuals are not avoiding life's problems. Targeted individuals are not avoiding life's problems. Targeted individuals are not avoiding life's problems. Targeted individuals are not trying to avoid life's problems. Targeted individuals are trying to avoid those who are hell-bent on creating them. And I have to say this for the record. Whether or not the individuals are fully conscious that that is what they're operating in or not, when people make things unnecessarily difficult, that is when you see, it takes us some time. It takes us a long time to get here. But you start to pick up on these types. When people make things unnecessarily challenging and difficult, intentionally, we start to pick up that, oh, okay, this person is just wanting to torment me. And if it's at all possible, if I can do anything about it, I don't want to be anywhere near that person. If I can do anything about it, I don't want to have any dealings with that person. If I can do anything about it, I want to avoid that person at all costs. If someone is trying to torture you and you figure it out, that they're trying to torture you. Hold on, you guys. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm back. Okay. So just try to think of it like this. Okay. When we figure out, let's make it simple. When we figure out that someone, a group, a business, a person, when you figure it out by way of them showing you in some kind of situations, okay, especially if you give a person the benefit of the doubt and you give them multiple chances and opportunities to reveal to you that they're not intentionally being, difficult. So once the targeted individual has finally accepted that that's what's going on, even though they can go and try to so-called have the adult conversation, say, are you trying to make things difficult? Well, see, the thing about when you're dealing with those types of people, they're not going to tell you that they're trying to make things difficult. Are you trying to make things difficult? They're going to gaslight you. So once the collective figures this out, then they make their plan from there. Okay, they try to learn their perspective lesson, okay, and the best they can from where they're at. And from that moment forward, they make their plan to, if at all possible, to have absolutely no dealings with such a person. And if we are honest and we just sit down with ourselves and get our own heads out of our asses and move away all the cute cliche and catchphrases and simplify it, it's almost insanity to continue, okay, to want to be around somebody that you know is actively trying to make things difficult for you. So it's really not that deep. You know, well, we have to talk about this kind of stuff and give these real life examples and you know, play with it until we can just move out our bullshit, move the bullshit out the way. Communication is not key when you're dealing with an antagonist. Communication is not key when you're dealing with a bully. Communication is not key when you're dealing with someone who has already made up their mind that they want to torture you. Even if they can't even fully understand why they want to torture you. Now, listen, to be fair, like I said, if at all possible, because some things we're just not going to be able to get away from or avoid. But if possible and when possible. So for an example, targeted individuals, they move away from family once they discover their family was their first betrayers. When they realize that their family was a part of causing problems for them, creating problems, unnecessary, unwarranted, unjust, and unfair problems. So when you play it out like that, it makes absolute sense. Targeted individuals are not avoiding life's problems. They're avoiding those who are hell-bent on creating life's problems for them. They're avoiding people who are hell-bent on making things unnecessarily difficult. They give people, they have given people ample opportunity. Most of the targeted population that I channel for are problem solvers and conflict resolutionaries. So they're not, that ain't what that is. But when you're dealing with egotistical egomaniacs, when you're dealing with people who want power and control, and a part of that is they just need to see you suffer. Yeah, it ain't about conflict resolution. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I'm like, man, when you simplify this shit, I'm like, people act like they so smart. But I'm like, when you simplify this shit, it's like, you're right. Nobody wants to willingly. We can't avoid things altogether, but some stuff we can. So what happens? The targeted individual, like I said, they begin to make the plan. Once they're able to sense, feel, and know, and have backup to support it, and the backup looks like they gave someone or someone's, a business, a person, multiple opportunities. They usually already have it set. This is something people will never know because it's not like they say it or it's on a name badge or something. It's just on the sake of error, the fact that they themselves are human and flawed. They then say, all right, one time could be a fluke, 2 times, you know what I'm saying? They go that route just to be fair. Oh, maybe that person was just a bad day. Oh, well, maybe this was just a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. Oh, well, maybe, so we'll do that about 3 times. And then after that, maybe 2 to 3 times, and if that, depending on the severity, okay? And then after that, they'll go, okay, it's okay. Within themselves, they silently inside, because they could have, with those 3 times, there could have been attempts of communication, since everybody leans into communication is key. So the prior, they've attempted to have these conversations. They've attempted to make sure that they were speaking in a certain manner and tone. They made sure to, try to bring solutions rather than someone who was just going to complain. And because that's usually a thing when people say, don't just complain, come here, so they could have, like, I'm not going to just complain. I'm not going to just highlight what they did. I'm going to highlight something good as well as what they did. And I'm going to come with some possible solutions. So by the time the collective, the targeted individuals have gotten to the phase where they have gone no contact, it is because of multiple attempts to so-called conflict resolve. And the fascinating thing is you have to start to choose your battles, because you're cleaning up messes that was created for you. So the priority is not on continuing to give people a trillion chances to show you what they've already shown you, that they just need to torture you. Your focus then goes to, I have to damage control my life. I have to clean up messes. I have to deal with those things. And that's where my energy is going to go. Because these persons or this people have already shown me that they are not capable of healthy conflict resolution, because they're not capable of being sincere, and they're not capable of being transparent, honest, and taking full responsibility for their own actions. They don't have a desire for full disclosure. It's power, control, and leverage. So the targeted individuals put their energy, when they get to the phase of the no contact, then they have to make executive decisions from there based on where they're at and the resources that they have available to them at those times, to try to make better of their lives. And if it means they got to uproot across the country because these motherfuckers got too many connections over here and they're trying to kill, rob, kill, steal, and destroy, whatever, boom, bitch. If it means you have to uproot your life and start it up, from scratch with nothing, with no support, because the support has been poisonous. The support has come with, I need to torture you. I need to irritate you. I need to annoy you. I need to make a simple task seem like it is a fucking end time apocalypse to drop you off at the stove on my way to get my Botox. I gotta make it a big deal. Because they need to torture the collective. And the collective starts, we have to, I know it's a challenge, but listen, instead of, we get to the place of, we stop shaking our heads and say, oh, that's just how somebody is. Oh, that's just how somebody is. Oh, that's just how, that's a part of our toxic upbringing. Because that ain't just how they is. That's just how they is to the targeted individual. They not like that with everybody. That's another reason it makes it a challenge, because they're not. Which, once again, is why the targeted individual has to make executive move no matter what it looks like. And guess what? For the target individual, they would have wanted nothing more than to be centralized and stabilized and doing and building life on their terms. Whatever job they chose to get into, career path, I promise you. But once again, the targeted individuals discovers they're not avoiding life's problems. They're trying to avoid people who are hell-bent on creating them, the antagonists. So in other words, getting too close, because you can't avoid them altogether. But you can gain wisdom and get to a place of acceptance, people for what they are, whether you want them to be that or not is not the issue. It becomes, they see the targeted collective starts to see that it becomes self-sabotage by believing in people who are hell-bent on torturing them. That's actually self-sabotage. That's sabotagery of their own efforts, of their own development, of their own cultivations and such, because that when people are hell-bent on torture you, what you think that's going to do for your mental health? They need to see you suffer. They need to see you struggle. They need to see things difficult. So that's not going to create any kind of stability. There are beings out here, some of these people, the targeted individuals have dealt with, are full conscious aware of what they're doing. Okay? And then there are other people, they're not, it doesn't make it any better. They don't know what's wrong with them, and they don't know why they want to torture the collective. They just know that they do. Okay? And then you have some where it's a sense of delusion. They slip into these, my divine purpose is an army of the Lord, or my divine purpose as, so you got like 3 subsects of kinds of people who fall into this, we want to torture the targeted individuals. The fully consciously aware, they know that they don't like the person, they know that they're jealous, and they are fully aware of their actions and plots and schemes and behavior, and they're sadist, and they're getting off. They're getting off on it. Then you have the group that are not consciously aware. They don't know what's wrong with them. They just know they don't like the targeted population, and they not gonna feel better until they and lastly, like I said, then you have what we call religious and spiritual narcissists, and they're under delusion. And in order for them to sleep good at night, they've created a fake reality, illusionary reality about their tormentorous, inhumane behavior, their cruel and inhumane behavior under their divine purpose. Okay, isn't that funny how they call it a day? Well, but we're talking delusion. So, get it. And that is not for the targeted individuals have enough to work through. That's not for that ain't their job. to be concerned about all that. They make the executive decision to bring justice to themselves and their children. The first stage of that is, when at all possible, you remove yourself, or at least keep some strong and healthy barriers when removing yourself is not possible. One of the best ways for humans to start looking at all this stuff from a practical place is sit with it and give yourself some say out loud examples, or whatever method. Write it, say out loud examples of asking the what ifs questions, right? What if, for all intensive purposes, for shits and giggles, right? Left, up, down, all around, now. Anyway. So, asking those questions. Okay, me? All right, let's have some fun. Let's play. Food for thought. Let's stretch. If I knew for a fact, because see, when you bring that in, it helps us to maybe tap in to how we would feel about something and what we might do with it. So for shits and giggles, when you sit and go, okay, well, all right, I'm sensing all this and they keep doing this and this is the pattern, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all right. Okay. So but let's say I knew as a matter of fact, that I had proof. Whatever kind of proof, whether it is an email, a text, stumbling on a conversation, okay? Something like that. And that provided you the proof that this person really did not like you, that they actually downright hated you, and that they were planning some very foul things. And I'll sit with it. Because you got to give yourself the space. And I'm talking not in a hype, just be calm. This is neutral, to be neutral, just to see if you can get to your own natural place. Because it's going to stir your imagination. It's going to stir your instincts. It's going to stir all of those things. It's going to go, okay, if I know it's a matter of fact, and I got proof, and okay, that this person actually hates me, or this person is actually, up to no good and plotting, planning, scheming. Okay. And then asking yourself, okay, so how do you feel about that? And are you wanting to continue your connection with that person? Because let's say as you sit with that, and then ask yourself if you want to talk with that person, continue on. And then let's say the phone rings. And it's that person. Okay, just play with that. It's that person as you're doing that contemplation and tapping into that, and then the phone rings. And it's the person pretending, because remember, let's say you got your facts now, right? Because we're going for shits and giggles. And then they're calling you or texting you as if they're your bestie. But remember, you got proof. How are you going to respond? What are you going to say? Some of us, and this is a natural part of it, you know, until you get through different phases. Some of you, you know, if you play with that and then that happens, you may say to the person, do you have anything you need to tell me? Others of you may say, I know what you did. And in either case, what you'll discover in that situation is you're going to be met in those very moments, because you're going to be met with resistance. They're going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. It's your misunderstanding. And, you know, woo-dee-woo. I know what you did. And then some of them may say, which also is going to give you the answer. Some of them may say, what proof do you have? What proof do you have? I love those responses, because that's a tell. It's a tell. It's letting me know that they did it. They just trying to see what proof I have to determine what kind of manipulative response that they want to come up with based on what proof I give them that I have. The whole point of the exercise, is just to get us to tap in and then to help us to see, you know, why certain decisions are made or need to be made on our own behalf, or why others may have made certain decisions. Because when we look at things from that bottom line, due to our traumas, some of us, even with knowing the truth, we'll go back and forth and we'll stay. And you know what? We've all been there. That's the collective story. That's the targeted individual story. They knew. On some level, they always knew. Because some of the collectives got fucking sonic ears. Don't ask me what that's about, but that's always been interesting to me. Or they can, either they got sonic ears, or they can, if they're tapping into this extrasensory stuff, then they can hear thoughts sometimes. But they don't, okay, how would I say it? They sometimes don't know, especially in the earlier stage. Oh boy, I'm get out of there. That's interesting. But again, on some level, there's always been knowing. And even after being done wrong over and over again, they continued. And people want to keep the collective there. And it's just not happening. It's ludicrous. Communication is not key when you're dealing with antagonists. Conflict resolution is not possible when you're dealing with antagonists. So in terms of the collective's life, and energies being in the background, wanting to torture them and wanting things to be difficult for them, but doing it in a very sneaky, under the cuff, behind the scenes sort of way. the most educated, loving decisions of the targeted individuals was to go no contact. So that they can make sense of their own lives for themselves, so that they can sort it all out, so that they can have some space to, first and foremost, to clean up the messes that was manufactured for them. And so that they can also then unravel, work through their own natural shit, the natural life shit, and, you know, get unraveled so they can start to you don't waste years and years beyond measure when people have shown you what they've shown you. There are people who don't. Listen, this ain't about a judgment. This is just what it is. There are people who do. I'm sorry. They don't want to accept that maybe they are the problem. They don't want to look at that. They don't want to look at their own cruelty behavior for what it is. They can't, they don't, they won't. And if we let them, they will bring us down time and time again. They would keep us in the crab bucket, and they would keep us on the cycle of abuse, which is a brainwashing tactic. Your brain then becomes addicted to the trauma. You all know all about the euphoric high after a fight in physical romantic senses. You all know about the euphoric high after a fight when the storm blows over and it's hot and heavy and y'all cooking tacos, baby boy movie, and you going shopping and you doing, you know what I'm saying? And after a while, that's brainwashing and conditioning you to get addicted to it. Meanwhile, they're eroding at your self-esteem and self-worth. Meanwhile, it can start to cause physical sickness, which means you're going to be drained. You're going to be tired. You're going unnaturally, follow me. You're going to be unnaturally drained, unnaturally tired, unnaturally, and it's going to erode at you from the inside out. And then what these people do, then they say, you're lazy. You let yourself go. You see how sick that is? It's sick. Oh, it's sick, honey. And I see straight through it. You've been too busy dealing with people that wanted to torture you, as if life in itself isn't difficult enough on its own. Do you really want to deal with those people called family, if that's what they own? They need to keep you small. They need to keep you handicapped. They need to keep you. Is that what you want? See, when we ask ourselves, fuck what everybody else saying. Y'all better follow me here. You got to get there. Because everybody else ain't the target. Okay? So everybody else's opinions is coming from a space and a place because they're not on the receiving end of that shit. Child. It's going to be, even though that's difficult and painful, I can guarantee you it's going to be some of the most liberating and freeing moments and seasons of your life. Because all things are going to start to become clear to you. There are people that are undiagnosed and they don't want to be diagnosed because they don't want the people to see them as what they are. The targeted population do not have, that's not their responsibility to care about what the world is thinking about that while they're being the receiver of the junk. It's projection. You know, all of this stuff is hefty, heavyweight. This abuse is projection. Remind yourself, I'm going to create a short because I want it to be on repeat. You're not avoiding life's problems. You're avoiding those who want to create them for you. And you learn about those things as you study people's patterns, pattern recognition with you. A simple task, a monumentous big deal when you're dealing with these people, chances are they're a sabotager. Chances are they are enjoying watching you struggle. Listen, as I, relocated me and my son to Texas. I mean, this stuff happened in California and it happened in Nevada. So I'm just going to make that clear, plain, crystal clear for those who think it's just something that took place because my son and me relocated to Texas. No, this shit been happening. But let me just go back to what I was about to say. So remember how I said you have to learn how to pay attention to the real-time stuff to help you to make sense of it so you can figure out if that's what you're dealing with or not, right? Because we need some real-time life stuff to help. Like, how does that look, right? How does it look? So the first apartment that I got for my son was, I don't even want to talk much about that one because that one, oh my God. And that man was all too willing to do everything under the sun, and I know why. I know why now. Okay. The second apartment was way better, 100% in terms of living condition, as far as the build of the apartment, the sanitation of the apartment, and and the amenities and all of those things. So it was definitely a 100% jump. Okay. Now, but here is one of the things that started the trickling effect for me to discover if I was dealing with antagonists, if I was dealing with people who were just making things unnecessarily difficult, or if it was just a fluke. So, case in point, the very first day of moving him in to that second apartment, okay, mind you, he and I at that time, we didn't have any connections at that time. Okay, we didn't have any connections, you know, any support or anything, and minimum income with nothing, okay, in a country bumpkin ass nothing town with nothing in it. Okay. So I, once again, was doing what I can do, considering all things. My son is disabled, in a strange land, don't know anybody, limited resources, limited opportunities, you know, doing what I can do. And with the limited finances. Okay, so number one, the previous landlord of his agreed to assist, only to, at the last moment, they assisted, but then they just dropped all of his stuff in the front on the grass. They did not take it inside the apartment. They just dumped it on the grass in the front. Okay, this is stuff that narcs pull. Okay, so, you know, let me back up. So he agreed, and then he drug his ass, right? He agreed to something. We had talked about it in advance, and then he drug his ass. Once again, this is what narcs do because they need to torture you. Then, like I said, that so-called assistance, then he just drops all of the belongings on the front lawn in the complex. Okay? He had already proven, by that stage, I already understood what I was dealing with him. So now, with that second apartment, so remember what I just said, all those things. The manager at that new place, okay, once again, they were making things unnecessarily difficult from the beginning. So we show up there, the man throws the stuff, dumped onto the grass, claiming they gotta go all of a sudden. Then the new manager, you know, excuse me, but I thought it was your job to be at your job so that y'all can get new residents. But the new manager at that time was overly making it difficult. Well, because, you know, I have to go, and, you know, I came back, like as if that was supposed to be our responsibility. I think if you're managers, you're supposed to be at your job if y'all want new residents. And so again, because I'm trying to get you all to see what this stuff looks like in real time versus just saying shit, okay? This is how you start to pick up the pattern recognition. So they already marked themselves, you know. That was one of their first markers that indicated to me it was a possibility from the beginning. Because I looked at her, I was like, okay, well, I have a mover, and I don't control that. They got to go, and they dumping stuff right there. Whoa. Okay. And then, you know, I got to at least get that. I got to get, you know, unless you going to pay, you going to, they ain't going to do that. Then, okay, as I went, tried to deal with it again as best I could. Okay, we had the landlord, we had a second round, so then we had him was like, well, you want me to just go back and get it alone, or could you, did you want me to just, take your son? Hell no, nigga, I already got you on my list now. But let me get back to what I'm saying. So I had to remember, we're talking about how they like to torture you and make things difficult unless they make the smallest, simplest things and tasks like it is a humongous deal. Okay? That's what they do. That's a part of it. So I dealt with it as graciously as I could. And at my son's second, when we got him to the second apartment, so I was trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, we got to get all this stuff off the grass. We got to get this, this washer and dryer up here. I worked with what I had. I asked his second manager, okay, which was his then new manager, first I asked if maintenance could assist with at least the washer and dryer aspect. She said no because of liability, and everybody else would ask for the maintenance to do it. I said, okay. Then I asked, well, do you all have a dolly? And me and my son will just have to figure it out to get it up on our own. And then again, well, no, we can't do that. Now ask yourself the question, is that something that's really a big deal or not? And is it something that's possibly bullshit? Yeah. Once again, it was designed to make things difficult and torture me so that they can watch the torture and so that they can get off on the torture and so that the town, country, village can have something to talk about. And in some cases, so they can rummage around in my son's shit while I was on the grass, because we had to go back to get the second round there, okay? I'm giving you all examples of how to look for this so that you can start making executive decisions, because you're not going to get straight and honest answers from these people. Okay, so in this instance, that was one of the first markers. As time proceeded, she proved me correct. All of a sudden, the printer in the office never worked. I mean, for apartment complexes that's trying to advertise all of these amenities and functions, you would think they would start keeping their shit running, and you would definitely think that, I ain't gonna go there, but I'm just saying, this is my whole point. If I was a manager of something, I'm almost for certain that my boss, as me being in a managerial position, that my boss would want me to have knowledge of how to handle whatever it is the hell that I'm managing. If we are advertising to have all these amenities, and I bet we're including that in things, then we're supposed to be dealing with that, aren't we? Because we're managers. Because that's why they hired us. I bet you if I was hired as a manager, it would not be the answer, I don't know nothing about computers, would not be a sufficed answer for my boss. My boss, chances are, would say to me, okay, very well, okay, you don't know how to fix it, but it is your responsibility to make sure that these things are running. If they're broken, if there's an issue, that's why I put you in a managerial position. I'm giving y'all the keys. You'll start to see the pattern recognition. It's going to be in their communication. It's going to be in their unwillingness to work with you properly. It's going to be in like the breaks of communications, and in some cases the downright lies that's going to start to help you to understand what you're dealing with. Pattern recognition, for an example, I was trying to make the best of the situation for my son. Okay? And the best of the situation, considered he was in the country, small town, and there was absolutely nothing there. So during like the earlier first few months of that, and the summertime and springtime, I was trying to incorporate stuff to help him to, feel like he ain't just sitting there fucking, you know what I'm saying? So I would get up, take him walking around. I would, get him into the pool area so he can get the leaves out, and just something to have him, productive and not vegetating. And, and the moment that happened, then next thing we knew, then all of a sudden the pool mat isn't there anymore. And so-called washer and dryer, machines, the laundry area was supposedly not working when he first got there. That could have been a fluke. So when you see this in business, when you see this in workspace, when you see this, with lovers, when you see this, it's going to help to just go on ahead and swallow and accept that these people, they're not dumb, they're not stupid, and neither are you. But they will try to imply and make it seem like you're confused, or there's a misunderstanding, or they're just trying to follow some kind of rules. That they break. Okay, so you have to pay attention. Is it about that, or is it about you're wanting to watch somebody suffer and struggle, wanting something to be unnecessarily hard? I know it doesn't make sense, and then you'll go through the phase where it's like, well, why would somebody, you know what? That's the $1 million question. But like I said, some of these people, pervasive mental illness, and they're not diagnosed. They don't even know that that's what they are. They don't know that they're a sadist. Some of them, it's like a young lady's video I think I shared, witch hunt. They're a religious radical that don't live shit. Some of them, it'd be about a man, especially you get in small country places and stuff like that, honey, relationships is like survival. Okay? If you don't, shit, child. So this is going to help. And it's going to help you to pull your energy back and not exude so much energy trying to like, no, you see correctly. You seeing it correctly. Because these they smart, they educated, they got all these jobs and money and titles, then they shouldn't be that damn stupid. It was intentional. Osiris. 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 Osiris, where you at? Osiris. I see you. Osiris. Osiris, what are you doing? I see. There he is. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, now here he comes. Okay, him a good boy. Who's a good boy? Him a good boy. Okay. You want me to hurry up? Is that what this is? Okay. Excuse me. Oh, okay. You're okay. Him a good boy. Him a good boy. Yes, him is. Mm-hmm. You a good boy? Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. I see you. Him a good boy. What is that on top of your head? Do you have on a wig? What is that? I see hair. That's not yours. On the top of your head, Osiris. What's that? Him a good boy. Him a good boy. Okay. Okay. See what you did? You dropped it. You dropped the remote. Yes, him did. Okay. You want me to leave you alone now? Are you done chilling? You can move your rump. Ain't paying me no attention now. Osiris. Oh, Lord. Now you're paying me attention. Here you come. Anyway. Aw. Aw, him a good boy. Him a good boy. Okay, okay. Okay. Okay.